London, Ontario was settled in about 1819, and we decided to replicate what those sort of lifestyles would be like here at Fanshawe Pioneer Village, which is a living history museum that was set up in 1959. Most of the people who are coming to this area of London were from Ireland. The group that came and settled here, they were known as the Talbot settlement. There were two of those. One of them settled in St. Thomas and one of them settled here in London. And the ones that came to London came in 1819. They were largely from Ireland, and most of them came from Tipperary in particular. So what we've done is, unlike most pioneer villages, we've decided to show that whole story of those settlers who came here in 1818 and 1819, and showed what it was like for them to arrive here, starting in about 1820 when they'd started to set up their homes, all the way until 1920 when people were starting to move into cities and become more acclimatized to living here in Canada after having arrived as newcomers 100 years before.
Friends, let's be friends, don't shoot. The British are sending out one of their stretcher bearers to make sure it's not actually a trick.
Christmas! Merry Christmas! Oh no, Canada!
Yeah, they've left the rifles behind.
So when we have school groups or visitors or seniors groups come, we talk a lot about, our village covers 100 years of history. So we talk a lot about change over that 100 years. It could be social changes, what the families did, what their jobs were, a lot of changes in technology and what kind of the advancements were over that 100 years. But we do a lot of comparison of how things were then and how things are today. So there's still, there are differences, but there's still a lot of similarities and similar experiences. We talk a lot about how the pioneers were new to Canada, but there's still people coming to Canada today and how there's still some similar experiences there. You're going to a new place you don't know about, you're leaving behind your family, and you're kind of starting fresh. So we talk about a lot of these different similarities and changes over that 100 years. So a lot of comparison.
Nice bright orange, which is where what we're doing right at the moment is putting air into the bottom of our forage, and by putting air in there we're actually putting oxygen, which makes our fire burn hotter and will reach a temperature to where we can work the metal. Right now I've got this in the anvil. This is one of the fixtures for the anvil, and this will let me form the metal. Now that I'm a nice orange color there, the metal works very easy, and as you can see, we can end up with a perfect bend.
Welcome to LG Log House. This is the first kind of home that most families would live in when they would arrive in this area of southwestern Ontario. This house is representative of a home from about 1820 to about 1830 or so, and the family's been living here for a little while. So they've been able to get things that they would have had to purchase as well as things that they would have had to make. So for example, over here we have a spinning wheel that is from a little bit of a later time period, but this would have been used for helping them make their clothes. Here at the LG Log House, we have a brick hearth. During the 1820s and 1830s, you would probably have had a stone hearth, but it would have looked a lot like this. And the families would have used these to do all of their cooking when it was something that was very labor intensive, but as well as particularly in the winter months to keep them warm. So you would have a nice big hearth where you could have a nice arm that you can hang pots over. You can also put your pots right on top of the fire. And a lot of the pots have legs on them. So if you needed to make something that you would have made in an oven now, you would be able to do the same thing by putting coals underneath them, putting a lid on top, and putting another layer of coals. This is our jury house, and this home is very, very special to us here at Fanshawe Pioneer Village because it is the boyhood home of our first curator, Wilfred Jury. So this house is a little bit special. It's not quite emblematic of what most farmhouses would be like, but a lot of the things that the Jury family put into their home were very special to them and were very representative of the type of people that they were. So they have things like two-toned floors, inlaid cabinets, which most farm families wouldn't have had, but they sort of show the personality of the Jury family. This house was built in two parts. The original section, this main part, was built in 1888 as a wedding gift for Amos and Julia Jury. And then the next section of the home was built in 1900 as an extension, which now includes what we have as the kitchen as well as the master bedroom upstairs. And that was about 12 years after the home was originally built.